Today, I'm going to be talking about something that has not only affected me and people that I know personally, but something that has affected so many people throughout this country, and that topic is going to be abortion. One reason that I am so pro-life and so against abortion is because one of my best friends, his mother was actually inside an abortion clinic about to terminate the pregnancy with one of my best friends, and she asked the doctor how exactly this is going to be done. And once she learned the horrors of what she would do to not only to herself but also to her child, she decided that she was going to keep my best friend Derek. So I think it's so important just to educate people, because once they know the horrors, it is so much more unlikely that they are going to follow through with something like this. So first of all, I think it's important to know what abortion actually is. So according to the CDC, an abortion is known as a legal inducted abdomen procedure that is performed by a licensed clinical, this person being a doctor, midwife, etc., that is terminating an ongoing pregnancy. So obviously this ongoing pregnancy has multiple different stages, so I'm going to talk about the 3 stages of that pregnancy and how abortions are performed during those stages. So the first term of a pregnancy is an early term pregnancy. And at the time of an early pregnancy, the baby can be developed as having heart, eyes, limbs, ears, teeth, platelets, and even ears in their gender, and sometimes very late, a brain. So during early term abortions, you can do both a medical and a surgical procedure. These medical procedures are when you take a pill that terminates a pregnancy, and then the surgical procedures are the ones that I'm going to describe that are used both during midterm and then late term abortions. So when looking at midterm, I'm going to refer back to this chart. Right here is when a midterm abortion happens. Again, they have their external genitalia, their brain, ears, heart, everything is developed, and the baby can also feel pain at this time. So there are 3 different procedures that are commonly used during midterm abortion. The first one is dilation and cauterization. So during this procedure, they take an instrument. Well, at first they dilate you like you're going into labor. Then they take an instrument that kind of looks like a scalpel or like a scraper. Not really sure how to describe it. And they scrape the lining of your uterine wall to remove the sac that is holding the baby. The second is dilation and evacuation. Like it sounds, you are dilated, and they take a vacuum-like small tube, put it up the uterus, and suck out the baby. The third is induction, and with induction, they use either salt water or potassium chloride, and they use a large needle, and then they stick it into the abdomen of the pregnant woman, into the amniotic sac, and then it pretty much dissolves and burns the baby to death. And then late-term abortion, we all know, this is up until 36 weeks when the baby is fully developed. So once you hit that late-term abortion, which thank God it is not legal in most states here, there are only 2 ways that you can terminate your pregnancy, and that is, again, the induction, where they take the needle and stick the amniotic sac, terminating the baby that way, or you can use dilation and extraction. And so what this is the mother is obviously dilated, and then they take a claw-like tool and they pull the baby apart limb by limb. So first pulling off a leg or an arm, and then pulling out the torso and then the baby's head. And then once that is done, they take the same tool used for cauterization, and they just scrape the inside of the uterine wall, because that can leave major effects after if there's any part of the baby left inside of the mother. So how many of these happen? The number might surprise you. Every 30 seconds there is an abortion performed in this country. That's about 120 per hour, 2,900 per day. Over 1 million have been performed this year, and since the ruling of Roe v. Wade, there have been 65.5 million abortions. So if what is done to the fetus or the baby is not enough, the Elliott Institute has listed that there's 10% of mothers experience immediate complications, and this can be infection, major bleeding, hemorrhages, damages to the uterus, convulsions, and atomic shock. Physically, women are 2 times more likely to get cervical cancer, 2 times more likely to have pre-delivery with other children, and 2.5% more likely to develop endometriosis. Emotionally, women are 7 times more likely to commit suicide. 44% have described nervous disorder, 36% sleeping disturbances, 31% looming regret, 11% have been prescribed psychotropic drugs to deal with the aftermath, and 14% have dealt with PTSD. So I think it's very important that we realize that we not only need to help the children, but we need to help the mother. And I'm going to leave you with Jeremiah 1:5, which is one of my favorite Bible verses that said, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you." So this just shows, if the horrors aren't enough, that God also says that He has a plan for every single one of us, starting from the second that He formed us and placed us in the belly of a mother.